Let's face it, not all champions are created equal, and some have really gotten on Dana White's nerves. In this video, you're going to explore with us the top 10 fighters who drove Dana White crazy. From boring fighters to drama queens, these champs were clearly not his favorites and he never wanted them as champions. So brace yourself for a walk down memory lane with us. But before that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's dive straight into it. Number 10. Jon Jones. The situation with Jon Jones had put a cloud over his dedication to the sport, with various incidents bringing his commitment into question. Even before his hit-and-run incident, Jones pulled out of a fight with Chael Sonnen, forcing Dana White to cancel UFC 151 and causing a great deal of chaos and disappointment among fans. White saw it as a deliberate move, with Jones refusing to take a risk and protect his ego. The incident led White to call out Jones and his coach Greg Jackson, with the UFC president claiming that Jackson's more interested in business than his fighters. Following Jones's illegal substance scandal that led to the replacement of the UFC 200 main event, White, being extremely disappointed, declared that he would never allow Jones to headline another event for fear of ruining it again. Number 9. Randy Couture. Randy Couture and Dana White had a tumultuous business relationship that turned personal. The feud had various factors, including differences in opinion on Couture's potential as a marketable fighter. When the UFC chose to promote Pedro Rizzo as the heavyweight champion instead of Couture, he took it personally and defeated Rizzo in 2 consecutive fights. After retiring, Couture declined a job offer from White and disrespected him publicly. White claimed Couture was difficult to work with, but the true story remains a mystery. Couture, like almost every other fighter, took to social media to react to longtime veteran cutman Jacob "Stitch" Duran getting fired from the UFC. Of course, Couture threw a little shot at White and the UFC for getting rid of Duran. Then, of course, White had to respond by commenting on a fan's response. Number 8. Amanda Nunes. During a tour of the new UFC headquarters, Dana White proudly showed off a large image of Amanda Nunes on one of the walls, now that they have a good relationship. Dana White claimed that Amanda has clearly lost the spirit for fight as soon as she had a baby and became a millionaire.
The question is, for Amanda, and this is what happens to all fighters. You know the big narrative, we don't pay anybody. Amanda's rich. Amanda is a multi-millionaire who is now at a completely different financial status. She has a baby now. You know, her life, she's not that hungry savage she was, you know, when she started to take this run at becoming a world champion. A lot of that factors in.
Number 7. Fabricio Werdum. After Fabricio Werdum's victory over Fedor Emelianenko at Strikeforce in 2010, he went on a 5-fight win streak in the UFC, earning an interim heavyweight title. He then defeated Cain Velasquez in the 3rd round of their fight, stealing his title and crushing the promotion's plans for a huge push in the Mexican market. The shocking upset made Werdum the new heavyweight champion, and the UFC didn't hold another pay-per-view event in Mexico for quite some time. Number 6. Georges St-Pierre. The relationship between UFC President Dana White and former welterweight champion Georges St-Pierre, GSP, has been a mixture of stern business negotiations, passive aggression, and outright criticism. One of the key moments of tension between the two came after GSP's fight with Johnny Hendricks in 2013. White publicly criticized the judge's decision in favor of GSP, saying he believed Hendricks had won the fight. This rubbed GSP the wrong way, and may have contributed to his decision to retire from the sport immediately after the fight, without giving Hendricks a rematch. White also expressed frustration with GSP's lack of willingness to defend his title against certain fighters, which he believed was hurting the sport. He passed harsh judgments on GSP's mental fortitude and toughness in the octagon, calling him a bad loser and a scared guy in the face of adversity. In another event, he even called him incompetent and stated the following words.
I'm blown away that Georges St-Pierre won that fight. And listen, I'm a promoter. He's the biggest pay-per-view star on the planet for me, and I still don't think he won that fight. I want what's fair, and that wasn't fair. I think the Nevada State Athletic Commission is atrocious. I think the governor needs to step in immediately before these guys destroy this sport like they did boxing.
Number 5. Tim Sylvia. Tim Sylvia, a former UFC heavyweight champion, was criticized for reigning over one of the weakest heavyweight divisions in the promotion's history. He lost his title in UFC 68 to Randy Couture, who dominated him throughout the fight. Sylvia's troubles continued when he demanded a shot at Brock Lesnar's pay. And when he was denied, he asked to be released from his contract. After being stopped by Fedor Emelianenko in Affliction Banned, Dana White was happy to let him go. In 2012, when Strikeforce tried to re-sign Sylvia, White vetoed it, saying that no one cared about him. Number 4. Colby Covington. Colby Covington, with his brash and confrontational persona, seemed like the perfect champion for Dana White. However, after winning the interim gold, Covington's refusal to fight Tyron Woodley and later Kamaru Usman caused a rift with White. Covington went on a media tour, bashing White and the UFC, and even confronted White during UFC 235's Fight Week. Despite a short-notice fight against Robbie Lawler to try to regain the UFC's favor, Covington ultimately lost the title bout against Usman. When asked about Covington's comments threatening to hit him with the title, White's response was simply, "Good luck with that. He's a big-mouth bleeping idiot." Number 3. Nico Montano. It's truly impressive for a fighter to have their UFC debut and become a champion in less than a year, but that's exactly what happened with Nico Montano. However, trouble began for her when she had to defend her title against the highly popular Valentina Shevchenko, who had recently moved to flyweight. Unfortunately, a surgery forced Montano to the sidelines, and the UFC grew impatient, scheduling her for a fight in September when she wouldn't be ready until October. As a result, she was hospitalized due to her weight cut. 10 months after her debut and championship win, Dana White announced that she had missed weight and was vacating her title. Despite pointing out that other champions had gone longer without being stripped, Montano was replaced by Shevchenko, who won the vacant title in December of that year. Number 2. Tyron Woodley. Before becoming a welterweight champion, Woodley's safe fighting style didn't sit well with White, leading to a feud. Woodley felt mistreated by the UFC, partially due to his race, and the beef between them worsened after 2 lackluster title defenses. White called Woodley a drama queen when he threatened to reveal UFC secrets. Even after a dominant win over Darren Till, Woodley clashed with White over fights with Colby Covington and Nate Diaz. Their relationship remains rocky, and Dana White stated that he's totally unimpressed by Woodley's fight lately.
You ask fans if they want to see Woodley fight again. I think that would be a flat-out no. Who wants to pay to see Tyron Woodley fight again? Listen, when you break a record for the least punches ever thrown in a 5-round fight, in a title fight, and you beat it by, it was like 130, and these guys threw 60 or something like that, I think that sums it up.
Number 1. Demetrius Johnson. In the UFC flyweight division's early years, Demetrius Johnson dominated as the best 125-pound fighter. But the fights didn't draw in the desired numbers. Despite being the most successful UFC champion, the division struggled to gain attention, and Dana White considered dropping it. Johnson's record-setting 11th title defense was overshadowed by his public discussion of a potential fight with TJ Dillashaw, which caused issues with UFC brass. White pointed out Johnson's poor pay-per-view numbers and questioned his pound-for-pound ranking. Although Johnson won his next fight, he lost the title to Henry Cejudo at UFC 277. Instead of cutting him, the UFC traded him to ONE Championship for Ben Askren. These were the top 10 fighters who never remained in Dana White's good books over the years. For more such videos, give us a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.